I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective reads for today, Sunday, May 10th, 2026. We are going to get started on our daily collective reads in just a few minutes. But if you would like to get on the list for today, the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps. Those are pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private reads, and you can book private reads on my site. We're also doing a giveaway today. When we get to 50K likes, I will be gifting a reading back to the collective. So make sure you're tapping that screen. We will get to 50K in no time. Prior to beginning our personal and 1-card readings today, I will be giving a brief recap. And if you would like to find those full readings, you can find them over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find them over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find them as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. But before we begin today, first and foremost, most important question, how are we doing? Scale of 1 to 10. The only way out is through. The only way out is through. The reason I say that right now has to do with a bit of the energy that we see that we're navigating. Now, I want to talk a lot about this new moon that's coming up, because this new moon coming up is going to potentially feel a lot like a full moon. Why do we see that this new moon coming up might feel a lot like a full moon? Because you've probably heard me talk about this before. But the way I often look at astrology is by reading into it energetically. And the one thing we notice when we're going through eclipse cycles, and this is why we often talk about the fact that eclipses are hard to predicate, or the fact that others articulate that they're unpredictable, is because they're effectively amplifiers. They take whatever energy we're currently experiencing and basically raise the volume knob on it. Now, that can create a lot of those, like we often see, that's why you often feel a lot of that intensification that will occur when we're moving through eclipse periods. Now, that is not to say that there is an eclipse season cycle coming up, but there's something very similar to an eclipse that is coming through, and that has to do with a lunation cycle that is in the same sign as the house that it is effectively experiencing. And it's interesting too, because we saw a little bit like that in yesterday's, or our most recent, masculine, feminine, and non-binary energy update. Now, if you want to look at that whole spread, you can head over to my stack. I've got a photo there. But one of the things that I kind of showed you when we were looking at that spread was what we described as an equivalency point. And what was an equivalency point? It's the experience by which you draw different cards. But the cards, they basically have the same meaning. And that was being articulated in the difference between what we saw in the masculine headspace, which was basically a combination of the Knight of Wands in its upright in combination with a Queen of Pentacles in its reversal, along with what we saw in the feminine space. And what do we see in the feminine space? Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. We saw the Knight of Swords in its reversal with the Justice card and the Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. So that is a perfect example of a bit of the energy that we're coming into, the idea or the recognition of equivalence, the space. And this is why we often talk about the fact that we don't necessarily need to go through one another's exact journeys to be able to understand the significance and meaning of something, because we often find that in equivalency. And we see a lot of that equivalency that's potentially arriving right now between this period of the Scorpio full moon that we just experienced in Taurus season, moving into a Taurus new moon in Taurus season. We also see that there's potentially another energetic shift that we are approaching as it relates to relationship dynamics. Why do we say that? Because the last time we went through a relationship shift, it was during that Capricorn new moon in Capricorn season that we experienced in late January. That moved us out of the moon relationships and into the world relationships that we have been seeing. So the understanding or the observation of being able to recognize and identify what it feels like to move into a relationship dynamic by which we identify steady, healthy growth. Now, what's interesting about that, and this is why we identified a lot of those lessons that we've been seeing in this period with the World card. The World card is not about rushing through processes. It's not about the space by which one tries to like blast something forward or through, but the energetic patience that we effectively bring to things that allow us to be able to do something in a way that feels like it is stable and steadying. And this is what we effectively have been seeing right now with a lot of these new relationships that are coming together, because we see two different modalities of energy that is in solitude. We either identify that these are energies that are working in solitude, taking holistic approaches to their own healing journey, giving themselves the time and the space they need to energetically percolate or to effectively get better at doing something. Or these are effectively new relationships that are coming together, and in the space by which they're coming together, they are building upon and based upon healthy potential. Is what I've been describing as benefort, being able to push and encourage each other in directions in the best way possible. Because while there may be a little fear or anxiety that may be happening there, it's the reaffirmation of the confidence that they're receiving that is allowing them to proceed further into what they identify is best for them. Now, when it comes to the relationships that are moving deeper into divine union, these are effectively the moon relationships. I would not be surprised if this is a period right now where we're seeing a lot of deep investiture as it relates to building into the context of conversations about deepening commitment or potentially new proposals. There's a lot of that energetic shift that we've been seeing, and a lot of that has to do with the transformative nature of the energy between a full moon in Scorpio and Taurus season and a new moon in Taurus season, which is the change that effectively becomes consistent because it's the observation of the change that effectively stabilizes and fortifies. Now, this brings us to the energy that's deep within divine union, and these are effectively the temperance relationships. Now, the moon relationships were coming together between that period that we defined, that was between the Capricorn new moon in Capricorn season that happened in late January up until the time that Uranus first went retrograde, which was back in September. Now, the temperance relationships were coming together between that period and the solstice that we experienced past summer. These relationships, I want to describe it, it's not the fact that it's been entirely smooth sailing, but it's the rockiness that fortifies. I actually see that for a lot of these relationships, the ability to be in partnership where they're able to heal their argumentation. It's the conversation that understands and recognizes that argumentation leads to augur, which is the ability to be able to see something with a better sense of clarity. And in that clarity, the observation or the recognition of being able to recognize or define getting stronger in something. So it's argument to augur to armor, right? The argumentation that allows one to be able to see something with more clarity that leads to something feeling a lot more firm and stable. So for a lot of those relationships going through those experiences, it's actually the space by which they may be feeling the relationship that's expanding, and and it's expanding specifically because there's the space by which healthy argumentation is celebrated and appreciated, because it's the difference in terms of being able to see the difference of arguing at with one another versus for one another that leads one to be able to do something in a way that's even stronger than the way that one has done it before. Now that is where we find all of the energy prior to beginning today's reads. But if you would like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my Stack. I would also encourage you to head over to my Stack to learn more about our next tarot class, which is going to be held on Thursday, May 21st at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards in the Pentacle suit. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to effectively catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've seen prior to beginning that next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of readings, you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do with these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule and my mystic meditation articles, which will give you updates on everything we've been seeing in the cards based on the lunation cycle. I just wrote one shortly on this full moon that we navigated. Be one out shortly on navigating this full moon, this new moon that we've got coming up. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also for my students seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey, as well as dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase a series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. But let me know in the comments how this energy is impacting you personally, because it is going to hit everybody a little bit differently. That said, we are going to get started on personal readings today. I will stress the list today is going to be kept very short. So if you would like to secure a spot on the list, I am in all likelihood only taking about 2 more individuals on today's list. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers, Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for on these apps: pregnancy and medical and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I am going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. How you doing today? Hi there from San Diego. Chris Crochets a lot. Blessings to you as well. Welcome, Valerie. If you'd like to get on the list, these are donation-based reads, so all you need to do is send that donation payment. I'll be happy to read for you. And also point out that for anyone who's joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, your paid membership there entitle you to the same benefits that I've articulated for those who are subscribed super fans over on the Clock app, which means you get the discounted rate on the personal reading, and you also get a free card each day when we do the 1 cards for super fans and members. Absolutely. How are you doing today, Xavier and Village? Welcome as well, Deb. How you doing today, Avatar? So good to see you. Oh, Mother's Day blessings to you as well, Avatar, and to everyone who celebrates. Absolutely. Hi there, Ava. Good to see you. I will read the list to anybody who's on the list to confirm your spot on it. If you're also on the hold list and would like to be added back to the list, I just need to know the date that you are added to the hold list. Thank you, Kelly, for those likes and shares. I appreciate you. Grand Rising, Mandy. Jamie, thank you for those likes. How are you doing? Thank you, Justice, for the wishes. Wishing them back to you as well. Mandy, right back at you. Good to see you, Bridget. Happy Mother's Day, Ava. Absolutely. And welcome, Lady. Welcome, Per. And thank you, Per, for those heart me's. I appreciate them. Thank you as well, Chrissy. And again, just a reminder to those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the photos, I would like to be able to offer the same benefits of membership there, but I need your help with that. We need to reach 10,000 followers before I can offer membership. So if you could take a moment and you're following me there to give me a follow, I will thank you with an affirmation from a guide for the advanced soul. If you're already following me there, just share this live with 3 individuals and comment shared, and I'll be able to give you that affirmation as well. Thank you so much, Juanita. I appreciate that. I hope you're having a blessed day. As I mentioned, friends, we are prioritizing personals and 1 card today because we are short on time. We do have a prioritized list. I'm going to read that list for you now. I'm going to take 2 more people on the list today before the list is closed. Anyone who gets on the list after those 2 individuals will be read for tomorrow, and you will have priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. First, the list we have today are Stella, Per, and Ava. Stella, Per, and Ava. Welcome, Stella. Good to see you. Could you let me know if we're doing a general reading or if you have a specific question you would like me to answer? And before we continue with your read, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal oracle cards here. We're going to count back from 10. When I get to 1, I will reveal the card. Go ahead and put your impressions in the chat space. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the fox. We'll do that again after the next reading. Mandy, the sharing for the affirmations is specifically for those who are joining us on the INSTA. So if you want to head over to the INSTA and do that, I'll be happy to give you that affirmation. I've got you too. Mako, I'm happy to read for you if you'd like to get on the list. We want to avoid here when we're doing readings. We don't identify the possessiveness in identifying. We never put the word my on a person because individuals aren't objects. So in relationality to a reading I would do for that person, I would articulate, we would look into the connection between you to understand how their relevance in your own experience. But as I said, I'm happy to read for you on that. If you'd like to get on the list, you would be the 4th person read for. You're so welcome, Andy. And I'm going to pin you up here, guys. So I'll make sure to give Stella some love. We're doing an angelic read. Can I please have, and thank you for having priority, Stella. You'll also have an additional card in your reading today. 5 cards for Stella, please, angelic. – One more. Somebody's got to leave you alone. You know, it's interesting because I got to stress this. There's something really important to notate in relationality to what I can best describe as provocative energy. And the best way to describe provocative energy is and it's interesting, it's a very interesting message coming through, coming through in relationality to you, because it's basically saying be aware of the fact that the issue with provocative energy is often on a mission to hurt their own feelings, is what I keep on seeing. And how can you usually tell that? How can you usually tell when provocative energy is on a mission to hurt their own feelings? Because the way that we effectively heal is by being able to articulate and create for others the identification of how easy it can be when others are working with us in profound, divine, collaborative ways. It's the simplification that often arises in seeing how simple it can be. And the thing about it is, I feel like I see you shedding some relationships right now. But the shedding that I keep on seeing is in relationality to, it's healthy shedding in relationality to situations and circumstances by which another person is to, like someone who confuses sophistication with provocation is what I keep on getting, or the observation of creating complications to such an extent that it often creates the space by which others, like, I almost feel like there's like a bit of this energy here that feels like it's almost like they can see you working on changing, or they've noticed a change in you. And when others notice a change in us, like, prepare for provocation to a certain extent. Because, and here's the thing about it, the guides are effectively bringing that forward to show you, to say that you can see it, but you don't necessarily need to react to it, is what I keep on getting. It's giving me observe, not absorb, because, like, and I want to describe this. I feel like I see you healing in relationality to being able to recognize and determine what is and is not worthy of your time. And when I say, and here's the thing about it, worthy of your time is often recognizing another person that wants some of your time but isn't respective of your time will often come towards you in some kind of way by which it feels almost, it's giving me a lot of energy, almost like of someone itching for a fight. And when the guides, and every time I read, like, the thing about it, and I need to stress this, angelic energy has absolutely no tolerance for energy like this, because it literally, when somebody is in that space, then what basically happens, and I think that you're probably seeing this, it's the combined effort of another that lacks energetic direction, and so instead looks towards provocation to guide them, as opposed to recognizing the gift that occurs when one is being more energetically generous about things. And so I want you to be conscientious about that, because it almost feels like, and I want to say, like, we don't bring any white glove approach to relationship, which is to say that when another person, like when another person is doing something nice for us, or doing something that is kind for us, it's very, I keep wondering, it's very interesting to see somebody that often tries to pick apart, right? Like the space by which another person tries to pick apart something, instead of recognizing the sentiment by which another person tries to approach us. I feel like that is what I see that you're working on. That is what I see that you're actively healing. And the thing about it is, I feel like what's really happening for you in this current cycle is that you're making room. Like you're making room for quality, you're making room for quality relationship. But the quality relationships that I see that you're making room for is you, like the way you're kind of making room for those quality relationships is you're holding yourself to a higher standard. And I want you to understand that when I say you're holding yourself to a higher standard, the way you're going to know that you're holding yourself to a higher standard is because you're going to see things, right? Like when you're holding yourself to a higher standard, you're going to see things that you couldn't see before. Bottom of the deck on this reading. Yeah, particularly and especially with this Six of Swords in its reversal. A lot of what I'm identifying with the Six of Swords in its reversal, I'm not sure why, but I just keep on hearing, remember, you don't heal relationships by stirring up the past. You don't, and I think that you know that, because, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't feel like something that is focused upon you specifically, but I mean, and what I think is actually interesting about it is I feel like this is you letting go of anyone who feels like you are stirring instead of inspiring, is what I keep on seeing. Because, and I keep on getting, the thing I keep on identifying is the only way someone can identify that one is stirring is if stirring doesn't go anywhere. Okay, I want you to write that down. It's only stirring if it doesn't go anywhere. So if you're articulating upon something because you need direction, okay, there's something, I have to write this down for you because I feel like it's going to come back. It's going to come back towards you. Hold on a minute. Let me just get your book out. Okay. If you're trying to understand something from the past to get a better sense of direction, that's not you stirring. And I think you really need to remember that, because the difference between someone that doesn't want to talk to you, because the difference between someone who doesn't want to talk to you because you've seen something Like, be prepared for someone to accuse you of stirring when you're really stirring them up, right? You're not stirring if you're trying to understand something. That's basically the message that I keep on hearing from the guide. I'm going to write that down for you, and I think that you need to write it down too. It's not stirring if you're seeking to understand. And I like to point out, like, I feel like there's a little bit of a watchword for you in terms of you asking someone something and them saying, like, you're stirring, and being like, it's very interesting that you're saying that I'm stirring, because you still haven't answered the question, right? Like, pay attention to someone who would rather accuse you of stirring than answer the question that you potentially put towards them, because that's what I see is very interesting about something there. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, Stella. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. The list is closed for today. Well, the list is not closed. I'm going to be able to take, I can take effectively 2 more individuals on the list today before the list will be closed. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. How are you doing today, Kiki? Grand Rising. Hope you're having a beautiful start to your day. You're welcome, Stella. Nikki, how you doing today, dear? Oh, happy Mother's Day to you as well, to everybody who celebrates. Thank you, Grand Rising Mia. How are you doing today, dear? Yes, I'm only a cat. That's a mama in any way. I think our cats would be a bit offended because we call them our babies. I don't know if offended is the right word. Yeah, I'm already seeing those things I didn't see before. Hi there, Dawn. I need you to have a little bit more clarity and relationality to what you're saying in the comments. Make sure that you're identifying. Make sure that you're talking. We like full thought forms in the chat. Hi there, Camille. Thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. You do have your own book, dear. Absolutely. You're so welcome. Hi there, Andrel. How are you doing today? All right. The next person we're reading for today is Per. Per, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Thank you for those gifts, dear. And can you let me know if we're doing a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And in the meantime, if anybody else wants to get on the list today, we've got 2 more spots on the list today before the list will be closed. It's a great time to get on the list right now. You will be the 3rd person read for. We do here, for anyone interested, highest priority messages from Spirit, Life Path, Angelic, Dream Interpretation, Past Life, Mediumship, Love Reading, Pet Reading, Animal Spirit Guide Reading, Akashic, Mind, Body, Spirit, Love, and Aura. If you have information that you feel is necessary or relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber-only Disco channel in the appropriate channels. Nikki, I need more context on the dream. I need more context on the dream in order to read for a dream like that, because one of the things that we talk about here is I'm not someone who believes that there are encoded meanings to symbols, that especially in the dream space, a symbol has different meanings that are based upon the context of the dream itself. So I would need more information in relationality to what was going on in that dream space. Yeah, you knew I was going to say it. I know. I wish I could be more support. I wish I could be more helpful to you on that. But it can be a little bit, like we can draw cards on it and try to get the general energy around it. But the more information we have, the better we understand the meaning of the symbol. But again, I feel like the 6 of Wands in its reverse, one of the things we also want to be conscientious about, Dawn, is being very definitive in terms of a card having a fixed meaning. So a good example of what we're talking about is the Six of Wands in some circumstances can identify a refusal to change, but more so, I would often describe it is it's an aversion to praise. And I wouldn't describe it like there are many different qualities or circumstances where one would see a Six of Wands and it might not indicate a refusal to change. For instance, it would have more to do with the cards that were in context around that particular card. This is what we do a lot in my tarot classes, helping others understand the multifarious meanings that we can often see in a particular card. And I always like to point out a good reader will not be in the space of giving a blanket statement as to what a card means, because if reading cards were that simple, right? Then and everybody like that's it's not that it's much like I like to describe a good way to put it is like think about the word bear, right? And think about all the different ways that one can utilize the word bear. It gives you a good indication of what we often see in the space of trying to define the fixed meaning of a card. I got you, Per. We're doing a dream. I love it. Excellent. And thank you, Brooke, for the follow. And Ishwinta, thank you for the follow. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. BB, thank you for the follow as well. Yeah, there's space. I've got 2 more spots today, Nikki, before those will be closed. Absolutely. Speaking of dreams, the next reading we're going to be doing is a dream interpretation. I've got Per here. Before we continue, if you have information that you feel is relevant or necessary for the purposes of our reads, if you have a dream that you would like to have interpreted, or information on a past life that you would like to share, for instance, you can include that in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber-only disco channel in the appropriate channels. And if you just bear with me a moment, I'm going to be pulling up. We've got here the dream. And before we continue with this dream, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the 7. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for participating. We'll do that again after the next reading. Thank you for that adorable gift, Avatar. I guess I need to leave more space above me. I'm like not good at that. All right, we're going to continue right now. All right, and guys, I'm going to pin up her here. Guys, make sure to give her some love. Okay. Ooh, and you know what it means when we're doing a dream reading. We're going to break out the dream coconut. Excellent. All right, where were we? The dream started with me reading messages between my ex and a woman he was interested in. After reading the messages, I felt really strong urge to have my big dog with me. It's important to note that the person in this dream does not actually have a dog in real life. The dog is a large female Doberman with big floppy ears. She looks sweet. The dog and I went inside of a building. We take the elevator because I want to go to the 4th floor. The elevator starts acting weird, and when it stops on the 3rd floor, I decide to get out. We have to take the stairs to reach the 4th floor. I'm not a big fan of stairwells in my dreams, but I know I have to take the stairs to get to the 4th floor. So we do, with slightly shaky knees. When we arrive on the 4th floor, we're in some kind of office space. And while walking through the hallway, I lose the dog. As I'm searching for her, an alarm goes off and the security gates close, so I can't continue looking for her. I'm locked in. Through the glass, I see that my dog has been found by a female security guard. I sign sorry to the security guard and try to be humble and apologetic about losing the dog. The woman is not impressed with my apologetic action. I think the security gave me my dog back, but I can't remember clearly. The dream ends with me reading all kinds of messages again. I don't know what kind of messages they were, but I do remember that the 18th was very important. I also saw it mentioned in one of the messages. I know the 18th, month unknown, is a very important in case of, I don't remember what case. Context for the reading. And this is private, so I need to take a moment to read over something that is related and necessary or relevant for the read in order to interpret it. Okay. Understood. All right. Can I please get 4 cards? Gotcha. So the identification of seeing a dog in the space of your dream is actually building empathy in terms of why another may have their guard up, right? The guard dog energy is about trying to work through why another person might have their guard up in relationality to where they see you positioned around someone. And we start that with the understanding, and you have to understand, relationships are a two-way street. And the way we identify that relationships are a two-way street is that the way that we feel about a relationship might be absolutely different than the other person that we are in relationship with. And this is why we talk here about alignment. Because when we're in alignment, we're seeing everything from the same perspective or with the same sense of energetic clarity. Now, this is all to say that we see you starting this dream with reading over messages, and you felt a strong urge to have a big dog around you as you were reading the messages from an ex, which is the observation of potentially navigating that this dream is a shadow work dream to help you notice a quality and condition by which a relationship felt that it was potentially damaged or severed. And this is also why, and I need to point this out, this is also often why you don't need to see an indiscretion reach the level of, you don't need to see an indiscretion reach the level of occurring in order to recognize the direction that something is going, right? You don't need to see, this is often why we understand, you don't need to necessarily see something happening in order to know the direction that it's headed in. And I would not be surprised if in the relationship with this person, this was one of the reasons that you felt you had to end the relationship. Potentially seeing something that they were communicating to another that made you question the innocuous or platonic nature of a relationship, which is the space by which you notice another person who potentially has this tendency, which is why when you started to read their messages, you felt the need to have a guard dog next to you, because it's the space by which you understand that something that you read there gave you a reason to be upset or feel threatened. And that's why we see that that was embodied by the animal spirit in the dream space. Now you're going, and remember, often the first thing we receive from the guides is keeping in mind something that is interesting or something that is necessary or relevant to take with you as you continue through this dream space. So this is what potentially was related to something that happened between you and them, right? Somebody who potentially always articulated, no, 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 they're just friends. It's not a big deal, but you could sense something in the wind. You could sense that there was something else going on there, which was potentially why you weren't feeling healthy or secure. We then see that this is you kind of healing from the experience of that. And what do we see that's happening there? You and this dog walking inside of a building. And you identified the fact that you said that you took the elevator because you wanted to go to the 4th floor. And that makes sense because the number 4 is the 4 of stability, right? Number 4 is a number that often brings stability into our life. But you said the elevator was acting weird and it kept on stopping on the 3rd floor, which means you were having a hard time. You are having a hard time finding stability in a relationship because of third-party energy, right? So that would be the issue of working through an elevator, because now we see that the relationship itself is being represented by where you experienced it. So a relationship by which you kept on trying to get to a stable level with someone, but instead third-party energy kept on getting in the way of true stable connection, which is the space by which you wouldn't feel that having that part of you, because the dog that you see in the dream is an extension of yourself. You wouldn't have to feel like you are on guard all the time, not being able to be your authentic, vulnerable self. You said you're not a big fan of stairwells in the dream, and you knew you had to take the stairs to get to the 4th floor, and so you did, with shaky knees, because that would often be the space by which it felt like you had to check on somebody to make sure that they were where you expected them to be, or doing the things that they articulated they were doing. Though that's why you said that you had shaky knees, because when we feel, like, here's the thing about it, when we feel we have to check if someone's being authentic, the relationship is already damaged, right? That when we're in a place of perfect trust, then we don't need to effectively feel the need to double check. But the fact that you said you despise stairwells is the fact by which you said you hated the fact that you were in a relationship where you couldn't just assume and trust that another was going to say the things that they were going to say and do the things that they were going to do, or be the places that they were going to say that they were, but almost created those modalities by which you felt like you had to go into explorer mode to make sure that another person was being energetic authentic to you. You said when you arrived at the 4th floor, you were in some kind of office space, but walking through the hallway, you lost the dog. The reason you lost the dog is because of the reason that I just stated, which is the minute you have to check is the minute you realize that the relationship is already in a detrimental state, because it's the space by which, if the relationship was healthy, it wouldn't have required the energy of the dog to be there in the first place. So you're saying that you're searching for them, and an alarm goes off and the security gates close, so you can't continue looking because you're locked out. Now, this is the observation of often what happens, right? The compounding nature of situations where you can't trust somebody, and then you feel you need to check them, and then you yourself are often seen as the reason that a relationship ended, failing to recognize the fact that they were the energy that required you to have to do so in the first place. So this is walking through, what you're seeing there is basically walking through the shadow work feeling of what often happens in experiences like that, where another person is perpetually doing things that feel like they're nefarious and suspicious, the space by which one is constantly on guard, and then finally being in a space by which the only way to build into stability is because you can't trust what another person says, but you have to check, you have to go there yourself. And in the moment that that occurs, everything goes on lockdown, because the lockdown that effectively happens in those moments is the modality by which it feels like another person tries to articulate that that's the reason that the relationship ended, failing to recognize or articulate all the things that potentially led up to the fact that one had to take the stairs in the first place, right? And that's why you were trying to give an explanation to the security guard in terms of saying to them, no, you don't understand. You weren't trying to do that because you wanted to. You were there because you had to. And that's why you were apologizing, because it's the space by which you recognize or identify the situation that required you, like how detrimental the relationship was in, that required you to have to take that step in the first place. And you said through the glass you could see that the dog had been found by a female security guard, and you signed to them sorry. And the security guard tried to be humble and apologetic about losing the dog. And you said the woman was not impressed with the apologetic action. You said that you thought that they gave you your dog back, but you couldn't remember clearly. And then you identified the fact that you said that the dream ends in the reading with all kinds of messages again, and you saw that the 18th was important. Now, in relationality to why the numbers arriving in the dream space, it's very interesting because we typically should not be able to see numbers in dreams, but the fact that you're seeing the numbers in dreams are relevant because it's the amplification. When you break down the number 18, it means that when everything is going smoothly, then nothing should be energetically secretive, right? Because 1 and 8 is continuum, and 1 is something that stands out, or something that feels like it's energetically unusual, that leads to a 9. So this is where we have to take this whole dream and turn it on its head, given the information that you shared with me. Because what you're really, and I need to tell you, everything will become clear to you about what was happening in this dream space when you understand that you were not the force on the stairs or the dog in this situation. You were the security guard. And the reason I articulate that is because we've noticed the fact that you have a very good tendency of being able to enter into other people's experiences. So I want you to understand that everything I just told you, when you understand that in this dream you are the security guard, then the dream itself is a gift to give you understanding on what may have led someone to take the step necessary that they did towards you. Right? Look at everything I just said, and remember that you already went through that with another person, and now you are the security guard, which is the space by which another person, and the observation, and this is what the guides are potentially showing you. Why is that individual? If everything is going fine, then all doors should be open. Then the space by which you are meeting with them, and even in the context by which you identified it, you have to recognize the fact that there could be somebody who's utilizing their connection to you in their life to prevent stability in other relationships, right? You could be creating a don't be too comfortable moment for them, especially if you notice that they themselves have anxiety or issues as it relates to enmeshed partnership. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, right? Remember what I described. Remember what I described with someone you don't need to, often the space by which another person effectively, the way you have to notice that often the space by which another person has commitment issues is not articulated in the fact by which they say to another person, I don't want to be committed to you, but the space by which they're perpetually broadcasting to another person not to get too comfortable, right? Not to get too comfortable, which is where you see that somebody might be intentionally creating a damaged elevator situation, which is the space by which everything is going smoothly, right? Everything's going smoothly, and then there it is, that weird thing, that quixotic thing that they do that potentially tries to articulate the fact that they're not necessarily seeking enmeshed partnership. And the thing is about that is that might be, I feel like a lot of the dream is trying to say to you, you may be someone's energetic safeguard right now from getting back into if you notice someone's tendency for that, you might be someone's energetic safeguard, because every time they meet with you, right? Especially if they know how disconcerting or upsetting it might be, what it really does is it potentially, again, creates the space by which they aren't necessarily needing to enmesh, because it's adding that level of unsafety in every experience. Because when we know the direction that a relationship is going, why we have a relationship makes sense. And that's the observation of bringing you back to the beginning of the dream that says, pay attention that while your intentions might be pure as it relates to a relationship, you need to ask yourself what theirs are. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list, I've got room for one more person on the list today before the list will be closed. 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. The list is now closed. I'm going to take a moment to read over. If anybody would like to get on the list for tomorrow, you will be the first person read for. You also have priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. And just reading over the comments that came through as I was reading. Artem, thank you for the follow. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. Blue Eye, thank you for the follow. Absolutely. Grand Rising, Ella, good to see you today. Thank you for reposting and sharing. I got you on the list, Bridget. And Yorami, thank you for the follow. Oh, thank you, Brooke. Right back at you. I appreciate you. Excellent. Thank you for the compliment on my shirt, Maverick. Excellent. Grand Rising, dear. It was not the case why it ended, but in hindsight, there we go. It was not the case why it ended, but in hindsight, it was the case. Thank you for confirming. Absolutely. We broke up. Yep, we broke up because the consistency and depth and progress was not enough. Exactly. But this is why, right? You're seeing somebody replaying that tendency in other relationships, right? Which is why you saw the security guard that looked at you, the security guard that looked at, that you were looking at someone. You know, I think it's really interesting that you pointed out here in the dream space. Yeah, and you said, right? It's not solely their fault. And this is the dream that's giving you guidance as to why, right? This is the dream giving you a full scope of what's potentially going on there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hi there, Cosmic. Yeah, maybe only the last couple of months you had your doubts. And Rosie, thank you for the follow. Claircognizance means clear knowing. So the ability, often it's the space that we have different clairs. So it's really just the way that information comes to us when we're reading or channeling. So like clairsentience is often someone who feels things. Clairaudience is hearing things. Claircognizance is information based. Oh, that's really kind of you, Cosmic. I appreciate you. I knew it. Thank you, Bridget. Oh my. You're so welcome, Per. Hi there. Absolutely. Yeah, you can stay as long as you want, Artem. You don't. I always like to point out you don't need to get on the list if you want to just. Sometimes the messages that come through for those who are also here as well. So, absolutely. Oh, the live froze for you at the end. Oh, that's fascinating. Well, again, if it froze, you can find it on the other places as well. Oh, excellent. Oh, how you doing today, Phoenix? All right, let's continue right now. The next person on the list for today is Ava. Ava, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. Ella, the list is closed today, but what I can do, if you're comfortable with waiting till we finish the one cards, I can see if I can add you to it. So as long as you're comfortable with that, I'm happy to do that. Just let me know. Okay? Got it. Got it. It's on the disco. I understand. I got you, Ava. All right. And before we continue right now, let's warm up the intuition muscles with an intuition check. Please remember, for those joining us, the list is closed, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the daily collective. 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers, Binks and my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Okay. I need a moment to read over what was sent, so I'll give you guys a hearth warmer in the meantime. How are you honoring today in what you're trying to create, right? Allowing the space of creation to be the context by which one honors things. So Ella, basically what I said is we're a little bit short on time today. The list was closed, but if you're comfortable waiting till after I finish the 1 card readings for super fans, if I have time to do the reading today, I will. Just let me know if that's something that you're comfortable with. Okay. Oh. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I got you, dear. 4 cards, please, for You know, I'm getting something kind of weird that's coming through. And what I need to point out that I think that you might know is when we are in our maturity, we don't ask others to do things on our behalf. Okay? There's something really important about that I'm seeing. When we are in our maturity, and I feel like you need to write this down. I don't know where this is coming through, but I'm just giving you the shape of what I'm getting here. Like, we are not each other's messengers, but you will, like, there you are, potentially around the most immature child-like person you've ever experienced. And what do immature people try to do? They look at other people as conveyor belts. They look at other people as like as messengers. And you'll often see, like, that's why when you often see young energy, right? You'll what is the first thing that you'll notice that we say to somebody? Like, when you say to somebody, why did you do that? It's like, why did you do that ridiculous thing? Right? Like, what is the first lesson that, like, young energy learns? Right? Why did you do that ridiculous thing? And what does the young energy say? They told me to. And what do we say? Like, what do we say to young energy? We say, well, that was a very foolish. That's a very foolish thing to do, isn't it? Like, there is somebody on a fool's errand, right? And what do we literally define as a fool's errand? A fool's errand is being like, what are you doing? Ooh. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. Why are you doing it? They told me to. Okay. Because, and especially when you understand that what, and because here's the thing about when you put those two live wires together, and this is why that's so dangerous, right? Because when you got somebody on a fool's errand, and then you recognize the fact that the ego demands ridiculous things, right? That when somebody's ego is out of check, it will ask the most absurd things from everyone and everyone around them. Then you understand, then the worst thing that can ever happen is when overactive ego meets fool's errand, right? Because it's the combination force of somebody that is doing anything for another, right? And in that way, they're only encouraging them more to go even deeper into an unhealthy, egoic space, right? Like, it's literally, it's like, that is the sound, like, that is the snowball effect that you often see in two people winding each other up in the worst way possible. Now, I don't know why that's coming through, because I don't know these individuals, but I feel like I'm seeing something here in relationality to the difference between you and another person being very similar, versus I see a fact that I wouldn't be surprised if you put distance between energy like this in this context or space by which someone asked you to do something and you literally said to them, I'm not going to do that. And another person saying, well, like, if you don't do that, like, what are you taking their side? Being like, I can see you saying to someone, it's not about taking sides. That's a ridiculous thing you're asking me to do. You know? And that's often like this is often what happens, right? The way an ego gets healed. Sometimes the most caring person, the person that loves us, right? The person that loves us profoundly is often the space of love. And this is what we sometimes recognize, the space that we say to someone. We can hold someone's hand and say, I care about you, but I'm not going to do that because you're being ridiculous. And then another person says, I hate you. And then what do you often have in that context? Someone being like, I love you too, right? Because it's the space by which we articulate to another person that says, I care about you so profoundly. I'm not going to see you destroy yourself by doing something absolutely energetically ridiculous. But I see somebody, and the reason I'm seeing this is like I'm seeing some kind of situation or circumstance, and in relationality to asking, why you feel an energetic connection to that person. When you are identifying or working through why, and again, it's hard because you articulated about the dream space. I would have to break down each of the dreams one by one to understand the full nature of what may be happening there. But I keep on seeing that there may be something that is appearing in relationality to that work, which indicates to me some kind of difference between, I keep on getting what it means to be worshiping well, right? And I don't know why, and it's interesting too, because I feel like it has to do with some kind of karmic connection that you have with them, potentially related to a past life. But I just keep on getting the same message that comes through that says when we're worshiping properly, we worship ideals. We don't worship people, right? When we're worshiping properly, we worship ideals. We don't worship people, because the space by which we energetically articulate or come into that modality, right? What happens, and this is what often happens, when we worship people, then we often feel let down because the person that we were idealizing does not exist, and the person that's actually there is not who we expected them to be. But when we're worshiping ideals, then the ability or the act of getting to know another becomes profound and beautiful, because the more that we find, the more that we love, the more that we want to move even deeper in accordance to another. So I feel like that is quintessentially like, and there's like, and it's interesting because like it feels like there's a lot there that needs to be unpacked, but I feel like that there's something about the difference between somebody like going through an egoic journey and having a lot of walls up, or moving deeper into the space by which I keep on seeing they're getting more, they're going deeper into that space, whereas I see you like doing the opposite, right? I feel like I see them building something up, and I see you doing a lot of work in terms of energetically, not I don't want to say tearing down per se, but trying to come even deeper, like one person trying to become invulnerable, whilst another is trying to build into, like moving deeper into their vulnerability and recognizing the vulnerability that feels like it's healing, as it were. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, the Temperance card, like the Temperance card. The Temperance card in its reversal may have a lot to do, it's interesting because I felt the need to write something down that felt very triggering for me to write, even in the context by which I wrote it. But the thing about it, and the best way I can describe what I'm seeing here, is when we notice a tendency for one person to worship another, we can't trust anything that they say, because it becomes a modality by which we look at someone and say, are you actually, is that actually what is occurring, or is that what someone told you to say? You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so hard when you see, like, that's what's so hard when you see energy. It's like energy like that almost always puts themselves in hermit mode, because it's a space by which you constantly have to question whether another person is saying something that is authentic to them, or they're saying something that another person like articulated them to say, because I keep on hearing, because the context by which another person, like, when we do that, we forfeit the trust that anyone has for us in our life, because it's like everybody has to look at us a little askance in relationality to what we're communicating versus what we're actually feeling. I hope that makes sense. I'm happy to give you the full line of what was received, but that's personal. So if you want to message me directly, I'm happy to share it with you personally. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is closed today, but you can get on the list for tomorrow, and you'll have first priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. It's 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over the comments that came through as I was reading. Sending support on that healing journey, Phoenix. I'm honoring my need to rest and not feeling bad about it. Tap to claim me. Trying to survive the day. That's okay. That's all right, Per. Giving the self grace today. I love that. Thank you as well, Mamo, and thank you for sharing the live. Hi there, Dolly. This isn't really a matchmaking space. So if you go over to my profile, you'll find there's a code of conduct where you can be able to understand what is and is not appropriate for the chat space. Thank you for honoring the chat. Yeah, it feels to me like I feel like I sense some kind of inclination of someone who would be more inclined to do what another person told them to do just on the lark of doing it, if that's what makes sense. Yeah, when you let the ego take over. Okay. Mom, the list is closed today, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you can have priority, which means you'll be the first person read for. Happy Mother's Day to you as well, Ivana. Hey there, Kelly. Guys, please remember not to privately message people promising weird things. Be safe out there. You're so welcome, Ava. And I feel like there's a lot more to explore there, you know? Like, I'm not sure if there was some kind of trauma around a circumstance or situation, but I'm just seeing it. There's it's very interesting. Thank you, Khalida, for the follow. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. Thank you for also receiving this message, Nicole. All right, the next person we're reading for today is Nikki. Nikki, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And the list is closed today, but if anybody wants to get on the list tomorrow, you will have priority, which means you will be the first person read for. You'll also have priority, means you'll be read for before we begin the Daily Collective. To do a read for a friend. If you have consent, If you have their consent to read for it, then I'm fine reading for it. As long as they're in the space by which they've consented to it, then that's fine. So is it a dream interpretation? Did you post it? Yeah, like especially when it comes to dreams, I prefer having the consent because I don't want to go rifling around in someone's unconscious with rifling around in someone's unconscious without their permission. Okay, Nikki, if you need a minute to send, what I'll do is I'll actually read for Bridget and we'll come back to you. Sound like a deal? Perfect. Okay, great. Bridget, could you let me know if you would like a general reading or if you have a specific question? I mean, I'm a teacher now, Cosmic. I teach now. I'm actively a teacher now. Yes, I teach classes. Oh, just a moment, dear. Hi, Laurel. Oh, happy Mother's Day to you as well. I love the way you school people, fair and to the point. I mean, I do my best. You know, I want to see everybody be their best self. It's like, yep, absolutely. Excellent. The list is closed today, yes, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for and you'll have priority. Hold on, I feel like I'm missing a message. Oh, given. Oh, sweetheart. Yeah, I've got you, dear. Okay. Can I get the animals we're going to be doing before we begin? Let's do, I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the air dragon. Wow, very close, Nicole. Okay. Two more. And one more. So I'm not sure why the message that's coming through on this is very heavy. And I feel like there's something about it that feels like it's there's a lot of inner child healing connected to this because all I keep on hearing is someone articulating that when the most profound act of love that we often bring towards things is when we, like, what is love versus a prayer not to see someone we care about. in a bad situation. And it's interesting because I see somebody stepping forward in spirit that is trying to articulate that they saved you from something. And even in the space by which they articulate, like it says to me, and like that's what's so painful about it, because I keep on hearing that they're identifying a life that was bright and powerful because in some way they created a door through like in by revealing something is what they're articulating. They're specifically articulating that the space by which they arrived, they shined a light. They shone a light somewhere. And everything that you needed to know about a situation, like it's interesting because they keep on saying that they saved you from a situation. And the situation was one, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was somebody who potentially tried to articulate, and I keep on seeing somebody trying to give you an ultimatum, right? Like, and I keep on getting, we don't care about each other in the space of ultimatums, but when another person shows us another person's capacity to become ruthless, then that is, right? Sometimes a situation becomes our blessing because it shows us a side of someone. It shows us a side of someone that we did not know existed, that we wish that we had not seen, but that in some strange fashion, we thank ourselves profoundly for seeing, because we see ultimately what they themselves were trying to hide that would have been energetically detrimental to us. And so that's what I keep on getting. I feel like they're raising their hand and they're trying to articulate to me that something about their arrival helped you discern some kind of wicked energy in your life. And when I say wicked, I mean wicked in the space by which another person says, do this or else, right? Like the modality by which another person tries to articulate upon not seeing us as having, like not holding us as priority, but the space by which another person sees us as a means to an end. And that's what I keep on getting. It's like that like that's why I keep on getting the fact that they had to they had to arrive because something about the situation created a door, because you realized how dire where you were was. And that direness, I keep on hearing the fact that one had to navigate something in such a way was what ultimately saved you from a lifetime in some kind of miserable experience that feels like it would have required you to spend most of your life afraid of another person's volatility or reactivity in relationality to what one could expect going forward. So I want you to understand, like when I say to you that they understand that, and that they've been with you this entire time. I want you to identify the fact that they're showing me this situation is your confirmation. The fact that they're articulating that I keep on hearing their arrival and their departure were effectively planned specifically to help you see, like they're saying their arrival and departure was to allow you to become, to be an archer, is what they're basically saying, because they're saying to me what they're effectively identifying was the fact that you saw how dangerous, like through their arrival, you saw how dangerous or distraught a situation was, and you started to take your exit away from it with a much more invested sense of seriousness. And I feel like I can see the fact that there was something about that situation by which you've been carrying some kind of weight in your heart. But they're articulating to me, like the thing that they're articulating to me is like they see you with absolute clarity. You've known that energy. You've known that energy in the past. And I feel like the space by which they're articulating, like they're articulating the fact that it's not even about meeting them again. It's the fact that they're always with you, because in a way I almost feel like they serve currently as one of your angelic protectors, is what I keep on seeing. Like they're literally they're just they like that was like they're articulating that was a choice they made. And I keep on getting the fact that that was a choice they made was articulated in the fact by which they said, I feel like I keep on hearing like it was only unplanned to you, is what I keep on hearing them say. This is the thing with energy and spirit. They go, it was only unplanned to you. To them, it was predestined. And I feel that, hold on, I have to write down some messages here. I want to give you some bottom of the deck on this, something to keep in mind going forward. Yeah, especially like, especially in relationality. Like again, it's judgment-free zone, right? Like absolutely with that judgment card there, I keep on seeing judgment-free zone, because I don't know why I keep on hearing, it felt like somebody was trying to shackle you. And I just keep on hearing somebody say that they feel that they like that there was something that happened, that they freed you specifically and particularly because the reason they choose to guard you is because they will not tolerate anyone putting you in shackles, is what I keep on getting. And I feel like not only that, but having to be able to heal from an experience that would have potentially perpetuated an unhealthy karmic cycle. It's not just the fact that you healed something, but you broke the shackles of some kind of ancestral karmic cycle in relationality to another, right? Trying to articulate, I keep on hearing someone trying to hold somebody in a situation, not out of a sense of love, but out of a sense of desperation and responsibility, is what I keep on hearing, which is basically like, I feel like they're trying to confirm that they were completely in agreement with you in terms of the direction and the decisions that you made at that time. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here, to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is closed today, but you can get on the list for tomorrow and you'll have first priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. And we're also at 14.2K likes. When we get to 50K, I'll be gifting a reading back to the collective, so make sure you're tapping that screen. We'll get to 50K in no time. Sacred Susie, thank you for the follow. And Mosque, thank you for the follow as well. The list is closed today, Amina, but if you'd like to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have first priority, which means you'll be read for before the Daily Collective begins. Hi there, Team Lasana. How you doing today? Yeah, I agree, Nicole. I can see why you would see it as a bluebird. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough trying to conversate over social. I know it is, it can be. Yeah. Thank you guys for supporting each other. Thank you guys for supporting each other during these readings. I know sometimes they can be very heavy. They absolutely did. My life would have been completely different. Huge wake-up call. Thank you for confirming the reading. I never would have broken free. And thank you. I had such inner grief and relief. Yeah, they understand that. I didn't even, that's what you couldn't have. Like, that's what I was seeing about it. Like, the situation was so dire that it wouldn't have been safe for you to do so, was what I was being indicated with. And that's why they arrived, to make you, to help you see how dire a situation was. You're so welcome. Yeah, thank you for confirming that this has validated everything that they've shared with you as well. Yeah, I knew this, but hearing you say it makes it seem well. And this is this is often what we recognize. Often those in spirit want to make sure that they're validating what we're receiving through another person articulating it as well. How you doing, creative? Beautifully stated, Nikki. It was a very precious, beautiful message. Thank you for allowing me to read upon it. Exactly. A moment. I completely believe I was. They are articulating the fact that that's how they served as their angelic, because they showed you, and they were in alignment to everything that you did in that moment. You're so welcome, dear. And again, sending you so much support today. And thank you for sharing this live, Cosmic. And Mudasar, thank you for the follow. Coco, thank you for the follow. I hope something you receive here, Coco, gives you the steps you need to make empowered choices. All right. And guys, please remember not to message people that are promising weird things if you message them. All right, let's continue right now. The next person on the list for today is Nikki. Nikki, we're doing a dream reading, I believe. Can you let me know if we're doing a general? I want to confirm that you already posted the dream. And as I mentioned, friends, we're at 15.6K likes. When we get to 50K, I will be gifting a reading back to the collective. So make sure you're tapping that screen and we'll get to 50K in no time. All right. And when we're doing a dream, you know what it means. We got to bust out the dream coconut. But before we continue with the dream, let's test our intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the hind. We'll do that again after the next reading. And I'm going to pin up Nikki here. Guys, make sure to give Nikki some love. I'm assuming this is outside tea. The list is closed right now, X, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have first priority. Okay. Yes, outside. You know what it means when we're doing a dream interpretation, we got to bust out the dream coconut. Perfect. All right, where are we? My best friend Claire had a dream last night, and she's got a reading. She's gotten a reading with you before, I recall. In the dream, she was walking through her garden, checking on her plants like she normally does every day in real life. She said everything was blooming and doing really well. She specifically mentioned peonies, hydrangeas, a 7-foot tall rose bush, and a big blooming rhododendron bush. She also said that basically all she does lately is garden. When she was walking around checking the plants as usual, she found a small nest with 3 little blue robin eggs in it. Her middle name is Blue, which felt notable to me. She currently has 2 children in real life. Since she had the dream the night before Mother's Day, I feel like the timing could be significant somehow. She also mentioned afterward that things at home have been really great lately, very calm and cozy, and that she feels like her kids have found their direction or really solidified it recently. So she's been enjoying being a mom more lately. She originally asked me to pull cards on the dream for her, but I thought it'd be nice for Mother's Day to gift her to get a reading on it and record it for her, especially because she had to take her son to football today, and because you're so incredible at dream readings. Thank you. She consented to the reading. Excellent. Can I get 4 cards, please? Well, I think that you kind of know what the dream itself means. And I think it's interesting too, because the dream is effectively identifying a never say never situation. I would not be surprised. I mean this with all the joy in my heart, but I would not be surprised if somebody went through the experience of raising children and kind of decided that there was something by which they felt energetically finished. Because you have to understand that often what happens is the space by which we are able to grow help us understand that our bandwidth changes, right? And it's really beautiful that your friend had this dream, because we see the fact that she identified that, and this is what one of the things that's lovely, right? The dream itself is identifying that she is in an ideal situation by which something can grow. And there's nothing nicer, right? Sometimes there's nothing nicer than having a dream that's exactly like the life that we live every day, because it's an identification point of the fact that we found some kind of ideal in relationality to what we're experiencing versus what we're dreaming about. So we see that, what do we see? And one of the things I would be conscientious about, that I would kind of ask your friend to do, is notice or notate if there's anything different in the dream space that is something that she's been planning to do in her garden, right? If there's, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these things that she's seeing in her garden aren't necessarily there, but she's been conceiving about the idea of potentially putting them there, because you identified the fact that you said that she's got peonies, hydrangeas, and the most important one we see is a 7-foot-tall rose bush and a big blooming rhododendron bush. Because the nice thing you have to understand, when something is growing, and you'll often notice this with a gardener, is getting something through the point by which it can flourish on its own is the space between navigating what would be identified as, and this is interesting because we see this, that is identified, and I want to show you this. These are the 2 children that she has, okay? The peony has become a rose bush, right? So the peony that she mentioned has become a rose bush, which is the modality by which it's not the space by which one has to continually put the effort in, but the rose bush basically takes care of itself. You check on it, right? And it's got thorns, so it's able to effectively protect itself. And we see that the hydrangea has become a rhododendron bush, right? Which is the concept by which it provides shade, it provides support, right? It's something that is there and stabilized. And so this is her conceptualizing her children as flowers. And the fact by which she potentially, I wouldn't be like, one of them is the peony that has become the rose bush, which says it's not the space by which she has to feel like it has to protect it from the elements, because they're perfectly ready. She's taught someone to be able to protect themselves. And the hydrangea that's becoming the rhododendron bush is somebody who's like potentially saying, I need my space. These are tenders going, it's just, oh, you want to give me a gift right now? I want my space. You give me the gift of space, will be good, right? So this is where she finds herself in her garden, and that's why she stumbled upon the nest, but there's three eggs in it, because it's the space by which she probably never expected, right? She never expected to find that space by which she recognized that the energy that she was pouring into is now in a space by which they can protect themselves, right? And that's why the contemplation of the fact that there's another egg there would potentially be the moment by which one says, never say never, because she's aware of the fact that the timing potentially feels significant or right in relationality to, like, and I like to point this out, a good guide never says, do this, but it's a space by which she might be recognizing that she's like, I can't believe I'm thinking about this, but I can't believe I'm thinking about this, but maybe I want to do that again, right? Bottom of the deck, because this is what happens when we go through maturation cycles, right? The modality, and I want to point out, a good guide, nothing we see in the dream space is directive, right? It's never the space by which somebody says, like, you have to do this, you must. But it's helping her kind of recognize and understand that the gift that she's finding is, and that's why we see the blue egg, is her time coming back to her, right? She's returning back to the nest, because what's actually happening is she's returning back to the space that she was before she energetically, right? Before she energetically had, right? Like before the children were there to begin with. So that's why there's that contemplation of the third egg, because it's the observation of, again, working through the context of saying it could happen, but specifically because it would be different even in the space. I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone who never expected, right? Who never expected to, like, navigate something, but it shows the fact that she has effectively, she's very good at it, right? Like there's a congratulations energy there, because the congratulations is found in the fact by which the energy is in a space by which they're energetically prepared to take care of themselves, that allows the space by which they're able to effectively contemplate, specifically because the reason that the eggs are blue is because she's at peace, knowing that she's done the work to protect another as well as they can, so that they can effectively grow in a healthy way. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience it. And I want to bring up something too here that I think is really important. I feel like I see someone that does not believe that they're very good at something. But I want to point out the guides are showing this individual in the dream space what they energetically see around them, right? It's not just the fact by which it looks like their garden. What they're actually showing you is the dream itself is an energetic read on the quality of the energy surrounding them. So you can send my personal message to them that says, regardless about how they feel they're doing, the guides are actively articulating to them through the dream space how proud they are in relationality to the work that they've done to create energy at that quality. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is closed today, but you can get on the list for tomorrow, which means you'll have first priority. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Excellent. Hi there, Carolina. The list is closed today, but if you want to get on tomorrow, you'll have first priority. It was a beautiful dream. It's nice to sometimes have a dream where there isn't something distraught happening. I'm not saying, no, it's not, I'm just saying, like, it's like, It's a beautiful dream. Absolutely. And thank you for also receiving this. I thank you as well. The list is closed right now, XX, but if you want to get on tomorrow, you'll have first priority. Absolutely. Oh, I deeply thank you. This is the best gift you guys can ever give me, this community we have together. So thank you for that as well. And Jade, thank you for those heart me's. Well, again, one of the things I do with Cosmic for those who have a hard time remembering the dreams is we do work to try to help you make sure that you're getting better recall. I like to point out you don't need to have a dream reading with me because you need to understand a dream. If you're trying to get to the bottom is why you can't remember, like we can resolve that in dream readings as well. It's a beautiful dream, Jade. I was very happy to be able to read for it. Happy face, love to see it. Oh, start a dream diary. Absolutely. It is absolutely beautiful, Bridget. It really is. The amount of love I was feeling coming off of somebody when I was reading for them was profound. I'm fascinated by the symbolism in dreaming, as am I. Definitely a different way of looking at it then. Absolutely, dear. Her daughter is a force to be reckoned with, which is why that's her. So yeah, that's the peony that's become a rose bush. And her son is older, so they're giving the rhododendron vibes. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, I was going to see that. Yeah, I was saying that. She was like, no more, Maybe she's like, exactly. Maybe things are stable now. Exactly. Yeah, there was an unexpected element there. Hi there, spiritual Lilith. Thank you for the follow. She always gets down on herself. Well, I can see what, I mean, like nothing to get down on here. They're beautiful. Yeah, they should be proud. I didn't realize I was wearing flowers today. Absolutely. I was definitely really that. You're so welcome, Nikki. Of course. Hi there, spiritual. No bathrooms in that dream. Yeah, my dreams are not peaceful. It's not a negative thing. Yeah. We could start. No, I don't want you making up. No, no making up. I love reading everyone's dreams. Hi there, spiritual. Thank you for that. Right back at you, dear. And Brian, thank you for the follow. But again, it's just, our dreams give us spaces to work things through. Right. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, I'm reading this here. I'm sure that when she saw that nest with an egg in it. I don't know if she felt like that was a peaceful dream. I'm on the outside of reading that dream. Okay. That's what I'm saying. And thank you, Miss Miranda, for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. Savin, the list is closed today, but for anybody waiting, we're actually about to get started on one cards. So if you are a super fan, exactly, Nikki. She was like, no, third. If you are a super fan and would like a one card pulled, go ahead and put your question in the comments. If you would like to become a super fan, your super fan status entitles you to one card. And if you're joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, your paid membership also entitles you to one card as well. I would like to offer that over on the place where we keep the photos. I need your help with that, friends. We need to get to 10,000 people following me there before I can have membership. So just go ahead and give me a follow there. I'll thank you with an affirmation from a guide for the advanced soul. If you're already following me there, just share this live with 3 individuals, comment, share, and I'll be happy to give you that as well. Absolutely. And thank you. One card on situation with that individual for Ruby. It feels to me like somebody, every time I read for this person, it feels like somebody who's still grieving about the fact that they've lost access to you in some way. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, especially with the way, you know what you can tell when somebody is grieving the fact that they've lost access to you, everything becomes a power struggle. You got to write it down. I'm writing it down for you. Wait, I got to grab a new book. Hold on. Ruby book. I'm just writing it down for you. Yeah. When somebody is grieving the loss of you, everything becomes a power struggle. Animal spirit guide. Yeah. You know, and the thing about it, I like to point out, it's also a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, I like to point out, this is like the self-fulfilling prophecy of someone who's never going to get near you again. Because there you go with somebody who misses you, who would rather create a power struggle than admit their energetic feelings to you. And so the cycle continues, and it just gets worse and worse, right? So that observation of you understanding and recognizing that is helping you make empowered choices through it. One card on guidance from that particular angelic. I feel like they're there. They want you in your authenticity. They want you to be more yourself, not less yourself. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, like particularly and especially, like don't be dimming your light for anybody. Animal spirit, your light does not hurt anybody, is what I keep on hearing. But you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised about people who are in their feelings. Like when another person is in a space by which they say, "Can you dim your light?" What does that say about that person? You're so welcome, Nikki. Bridget, one card on counterpart. I feel like I see somebody, I feel like I see somebody going through something in a way by which they're healing. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like this is a very complicated day for them, is what I keep on getting. Yeah, like it feels triggering. I almost see them like being like trying to be supportive to another person through it. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, especially with this ram energy, there's something I'm seeing there. There's something I'm seeing there as it relates to them checking on someone who sometimes has a hard time with it too, is what I keep on seeing. Like it almost feels like somebody who's taking some kind of buddy system today on something. 7, these are one card readings for super fans. If you'd like to become a super fan, I'm happy to draw a card for you. Okay. I got you. One card on them, please. It almost feels like, in a way, like I feel like there's something about the dreams that almost feels like a distress call, but animal spirit, bottom of the deck. The thing about it is, we can't help each other through our choices unless another person articulates what their needs are. We can't help each other through our choices unless we articulate what our needs are. Animal spirit, yeah, especially with the boar energy. You know, I need, it almost feels like somebody who's in some kind of toxic cycle with someone. And the thing is, you can usually tell when it's a toxic cycle because it always gets worse instead of better. But the thing about it is, like, the ability for another person to identify what's needed means, like, you can't, like, here's the thing about it, like, you can't come, if another person keeps choosing what isn't for them, then there's no space by which you can effectively intervene until they articulate the fact that they need healing. And thank you for the follow, 7. One card highest for Ella, please. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. So I feel like there's something there that's important about doing something entirely for you today, or doing something that really brings some kind of sense of joy to you. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, particularly with the Chariot card. I feel like this is like don't get frustrated in terms of having to, like, when we're working towards something in a positive way, it doesn't feel like we have to give each other reminders. Bottom of the deck, yeah, especially with the Fox energy. Um, I feel like, it's saying to me, like, it almost says to me, reach out to someone who might be having a hard time today, and making sure that they're okay is what I keep on seeing. Like, be the force of change that you aspire to see in the world. And Angelic, thank you for the follow. You're welcome, Ivana. Hold on. One card regarding, hold on a minute. One card regarding connection for Chrissy. I feel like there's something about, I see you doing something in a way by which, like, your productivity is going to lead you to the connections that feel most restorative to you. So make sure that you're just doing the work to be able to communicate effectively, particularly and especially as it relates to what it is that you're trying to, like, what it is that you're trying to do, and where you're trying to do it, and how you're trying to do it. Yeah, bottom of the deck with the Lovers card. It's saying to me, like, make sure that you're not waiting on a connection, but you're being energetically productive and moving in the connections that feel like they want and aspire for the same things as you do at this time. The 7, these are one card readings for super fans. If you'd like to become a super fan, I'm happy to draw a card for you. Laurel, one card on a creative project, please. This feels good. Give it time. Don't rush it. Yeah, especially with the 4 of Pentacles, right? Like, do something in a consistent fashion. So something that you're doing or building through in a long, I keep on hearing, like, something that is positive is something that can grow over time. Yeah, don't think about trying to do everything at once. A little bit every day, getting you in the right direction possible. Got it. It's my one card aligning messages with desire to action. Practical results for practical work, right? New plans, new stability. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, especially with the air dragon. Helping another person in follow through, which is saying, like, hey, I'm just following up on what we said we would do to make sure that it's getting done. Per one card, Angelic, please. Oh, it's saying, like, the thing about it is, I don't know why, but I keep on hearing, I feel like you're going through something harrowing because you're potentially seeing somebody that's going through what you had to go through, but you're on the other side of it now, right? Yeah, like, it feels to me, especially with that Queen of Pentacles, like, I keep on seeing you're seeing the full shape of what another person does to someone who they're in partnership with, is what I keep on getting. Yeah, because I keep on getting, especially with that dream space, the dream space by which you were locked in that staircase was potentially the relationship that you were in where you felt like you weren't getting the full scope of something. and you now being the security guard outside is being able to recognize how distressing that can be for someone experiencing it. Avatar, one card, highest priority, please. The Devil card in its reversal. Don't if someone is, don't match energy. Don't match energy. Bottom of the deck. If somebody tries to provoke you, remember who you are. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, especially with the crane. Right? When we care about things, like the crane energy articulates to us that when we care about things, then we're able to articulate and amplify why something has meaning. Right? So if someone is deciding to get distressed over something meaningless, like recognize that as being able to identify someone that is, like, even in that, I keep on hearing a blessing, because it shows you who you have to avoid going forward. Thank you as well, dear. You're so welcome, Ivana. Yaz, one card on how to heal the unworthiness rejection wound. I want you to sit down for 7 minutes every day and repeat affirmations to yourself in the mirror. Yeah. And if you don't like it, like, if you don't like it, that's like, just because you're going to hate it, but that doesn't mean that it's not helping. Animal spirit guide. Yeah. Like, write them down, and not just writing them down, say them out loud to yourself until they ring true, because they are true. Guys, please remember not to message people promising strange things. Be safe out there. You're welcome, Chrissy. Faisal, these are one card readings for super fans. If you'd like to become a super fan, I'm happy to draw a card for you. You're so welcome, Laurel. You're so welcome, Anija and Jeanic. You're welcome, Ella. Tiff, one card, guided advice, please. Make sure that you're prioritizing rest right now, or you're making sure to give yourself a little bit of leeway in something you're doing, right? Not waiting for things to be done at the last minute. Yeah, an early start to be able to create some kind of sense of peace while you're doing something is what I keep on getting. You're welcome, dear. Theon, these are one card readings for super fans we're doing now. If anybody would like to have a reading, the list is closed, but you can get on the list for tomorrow and you'll have first priority. Same thing, Faisal. Excellent. And thank you, Koi, for the follow. You're welcome, Tiff. My friends, so Ella, I'm afraid I'm out of time today, but I can add you to the list tomorrow and you'll have first priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the daily collective. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. We will be back on tomorrow at our standard time, 7:15 a.m. PST, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. If you would like to be notified as to when I've gone live, you can head over to my profile, hit the bell there, activate the bell there. That'll turn on notifications. Thank you, Tiff. That's kind of you to say. You can also, if you get on the list today, you'll have first priority tomorrow, which means you'll be read for before we start the daily collective. I want to thank you. If you became a super fan today, welcome. I would encourage you to head over to our Superfan Only Disco channel, introduce yourself to the collective. You'll also find in the perks section a special coupon code that will give you a discount to our tarot class subscription program. Our next class is going to be on Thursday, May 21st at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be studying the court cards in the Pentacle suit. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Oh, one card highest for Nikki, please. We've got the Knight of Swords. So make sure that you're not seeing, like, make sure that you're matching aggression with inquiry, right? Questions should not raise anger when they're reasonable to be had. Yeah, animal spirit guide. It's very strange to have, like, it's very strange for a question to bring anger out in another. Right? Because it's perfectly reasonable to ask a question if there's a simple answer for it. One card for 810. I feel like they are not ready to let go of a past that they claim that they're over. bottom of the deck. Yeah, they're going to come back, but make sure when they do, they take accountability for what they've been doing in the interim. Yeah, especially with the cow, right? Nobody coming back acting like something hasn't happened. Especially if there was some kind of conversation you were having prior. Remember, that's not a chalkboard erase moment, it's a bookmark. My friends, I want to thank you so much for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. And I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.